Hello and welcome to Transformation Now. And I do mean now, not later. Hi, I'm Rita Rocker Kraft, and I'm a speaker, author, and trainer with SoaringHigher.rocks, and have a great program for you. It's kind of a series, and it's actually with my new book that's going to colleges and bookstores called Shaping Your Future, Becoming the Brand Everyone Wants. And like it says here, the one who has the most power to change their life is the one looking in the mirror. So I want to share with you information from the leadership guide that goes with the book that professors will be using, and help give you some areas that will be very important, very life-changing for you to become the brand you want, not only at work, but also the friend, the partner that you want to be too, and that you want to attract into your life. So some of the things that I'll be talking about over the next few programs will be first doing a self-assessment to be able to see where you are now and where you want to be in the future. Creating a success-driven mental GPS. You know, we have a GPS that everybody uses now on their phones and in their vehicles, but we also have a mental GPS that really can guide us the right way or the wrong way. And so I'll be talking about that as well. Entering the winner's circle through brain jujitsu. We think of jujitsu where we're kind of grappling and trying to gain the upper hand. And there's a lot with the brain jujitsu in order to change thoughts in our minds that are maybe holding us back in order to go forward. And then there's also perception is reality. You know, whatever we perceive to be true in our minds is true. So we'll be talking a lot about perception because that is critical to where you're going to go in life. And then gaining powerful credibility through engaging communication and presentation skills. And that will be probably 3 or 4 programs down the line here. And then we'll talk a little bit about designing your own portfolio for your career, a lot of things that you can do to make yourself maybe more marketable than you feel like you are. But as with everything, I work with the inner person as well as the outer person. And so all of these things will also impact your personal relationships as well as your career relationships. So in this book, I suggest that the very first thing to do is to have pen and paper, to have a notebook. You know, so many times we want to type up things online, we want to look at things online, then we pick up our phone and we're looking at our phone and we get very distracted. And one of the things that people have really found out, and that I have found out, is instead of doing that, put all that away, sit quietly, literally, with a notebook and a pen, because then you're totally focused on your thoughts, the things that come to your mind, and things that maybe you've experienced and forgot about, but they all come together when you can sit quietly with a notebook and a pen and put all the electronics aside while you're doing these. And if any of you want the notes to that, I'll go ahead and share some things with you if you want to contact me. But I think that's very important to do that. And so I just wish you all the best in what you're about to work on, and I'm always here for you. Okay, so the first thing in the introduction, I actually show a picture of a cat, which is kind of crazy, but it's a cat, and it has an easel and the picture, or a mirror, and the cat is looking into the mirror, and what does the cat see? The cat, okay? But then it has an easel with the painting on there, and it's actually what it's creating as it's looking at the little cat face is this big ferocious lion. And so a lot of times that's what we have to do. We have to be able to create what we want, not necessarily what we're seeing at the moment, because what we're seeing at the moment may be far cry from where we actually want to be, deserve to be, and can be. So think of that, you look in the mirror, but then you create. You create it all quite often on your canvas of your mind. And so the most important attribute really in this program is to be able to combine personally and professionally together, because when we go to work, we still have things mind, from home and vice versa. So we're one complete package of spirit, soul, and body. You know, our spirit, of course, is our spiritual relationship with God, or however you choose. Our soul is our will. We have a strong will, a weak will. Our intellect, which is our mind, our brain, and our emotions, which come out in everything. And in the book, I really talk a lot about emotions, whether you're giving a speaking engagement, you know, to 100 or 1,000 people. You're connecting on emotions a lot of times, whether you know it or not. And when you're talking to people, whether it's an executive, whether it's somebody coming to clean the house, you're always talking and touching emotions. We all do that. And then the third part is our body. That could be our physical body, it's our health, our energy, our demeanor, everything that we project out to other people, what they see. You know, like I've said before, that first impression is made in as little as 7 seconds. Not fair. But people are making all kinds of judgments about our self-image, our outlook on life, our economic and educational levels, our trustworthiness, our future success, all of those things within just a few seconds. Walking in the door, what kind of energy are we giving off? And I'll talk about energy a lot because it's so important. And so our appearance, our energy, 7 seconds. And then when we open our mouth and actually say something to someone, you have about 20 seconds to get them to go, oh yes, I'd like to hear more about this. Or, I think I need to go talk to that person over there and make a quick exit. So 20 seconds. So always think about that, the energy, the demeanor, the appearance, because people will make judgments very quickly on that. Attitude and perception are critical. If we have a good attitude, we draw people to us. If we have a bad attitude, that will push people away. And sometimes something happened at work or at home and we have to kind of cut that off and change our attitude when we're talking with other people, because we've all had the experiences, man, we were in a great mood, and then somebody came home or somebody came into the office and was a wet blanket and it just took it away. And so we have to be very careful with that. And then the perceptions, because that will determine the choices we make in life, who we're around, what we're going to do, what we're going to live, and it will also cause people to either want to be on our team, to be that indispensable brand to them, or to spend time with us, etc., or not spend time with us. So that's very, very important. And there's a lot of stories that I share and that are very helpful. And so what I like to remind people is never compare your journey. Okay, don't compare your journey, your credentials, your accomplishments, or any part of your life for that matter with someone else's. Always compare yourself to yourself and the steps that you're taking. We can watch other people, we can be encouraged by other people's stories, we can build up our lives, and I've done that a lot by listening to other people's testimonies. That's very, very important. But we can't be in a mode of competing all the time against other people and thinking, well, I'm no good, I can't do any of that stuff like they can. And so in the chapter 1, I talk about self-assessment, and that's how we start out. First of all, talking about how do you assess yourself? Where are you now, and where do your future intentions lie? Okay? Sometimes we've had a rough life, and so our future intentions aren't anything but maybe making it through life. And so we can change that, though. We can definitely change that. You are the developer, the creator, the architect of your own life. And I've seen people do so many miraculous things, playing guitars, playing, violin beautifully, driving a car, changing a baby's diapers, all from people who had no arms at all. And so again, we build on what we have available and we go forward with that. There's a guy named Nick Vujicic, I think it is, has no arms and legs, just one little flipper, that would have been a foot maybe right under his trunk. And yet he's gone all over the world talking to people, helping them. I mean, he'll get an auditorium packed full of teenagers and they sit there silently and they listen to him because he's actually been placed on a table so he can talk to them. You know what? He has a beautiful wife and 2 little adorable kids. And so again, we can't necessarily think, oh man, my life is such a mess, nobody wants me, or I'm too handicapped. No, not too handicapped, there are things that we can all do when we set our minds to it. So I encourage you with that today. You know, the thoughts that we entertain, the words that we speak and write, and the issues we encounter daily are major factors in life and career. So what about the thoughts? Thoughts we entertain. Do we have confident thoughts? We do have thoughts of being unworthy, angry, depressed, or determined thoughts. All the thoughts that are rolling around in our head, and usually about 80% of them come up negative, we have to change, and I'll talk about that more later. So thoughts, all those thoughts, I can do it, I'm great, I'm talented, God's blessed me with being made in His image, so I'm going forward. Or it can be, you know what, everybody always told me I was a loser, I could never amount to anything, so I guess that's true. So that's the kind of thoughts that we have to get rid of. And then the words that we use, are they supportive words to other people as well as ourselves? Are they motivating? Are they angry? Are they mean? Are they very caring words that we say to ourselves as well as to those that we meet every day and talk to? And then there's writing. You know, nowadays with social media and text messaging, everything's out in the open. And so think about lives that are being affected by what's being said on those texts and in social media. And I would encourage you to make this a point to encourage people, to build them up. I'm sharing a lot of things that are just funny because people need to laugh. And so I do a lot of things that are funny, photography that'll just blow you away. It's so gorgeous. And so I'm sharing some of that. Things that will help make people feel better. And so we all need to concentrate on doing that more. And all of that is really going to affect our future and other people's futures just by a laugh, a hug, things that we can share. Two programs I really like to watch are America's Got Talent and American Idol, because there are so many testimonies of people who were down and out doing a job that was just, you know, terrible, paid them hardly anything, or so many people from other countries that have been oppressed and poor and going through so many things in life. You hear all these testimonies, and then you see what they do. And some of the things I've seen on there, especially America's Got Talent, are beyond incredible. I don't know how people can humanly do that, how it can be humanly possible. But I love it because this is their chance to show who they really are. They've been squashed down, no opportunities, and now it's like, holy moly, I can't believe these people can actually do that. And it's their breakthrough into their future. And so I would really encourage you to think about those things. You all have so many talents, so many abilities, and it's just a matter of sitting down and thinking about those things that you do. Maybe you're a good mediator of children's fights. Maybe you're the most awesome baker in the world. Maybe you're a math whiz, science whiz, and you absolutely love it, and you can gear your talents and your skills towards that, help other people, or get into an industry like that. Maybe, you know, you've loved to coach little league teams, but you're kind of working at a job that's going nowhere. Well, maybe you have a lot of talents and creativity that you can work in a coaching field or something like that and love it and make a career out of it because you're using your gifts and your talents that God gave you in the first place. So think about that. And you know, a major shift in life circumstances takes concentrating more on what you want to do, what you want to be, rather than where you are right now. If we concentrate only on where we are right now, guess what? That's where we'll stay. You know, there's a saying, if you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always had. And so you really want to concentrate on not what's surrounding you, but focusing forward, closing your eyes, thinking of those things that, you know, literally you have to picture yourself doing those things. A lot of people who win in the Olympics or people who win in pageants, for instance, sports, they have visualized themselves doing this over and over and over until it's so second nature that when they actually get out there and compete, It's second nature. So they make it because in their mind, that's the only way to go. And so think about that all the time, what you want to do, and focus on that. See yourself actually doing it until it becomes second nature. Then you're comfortable with it. If it's just a matter of being very shy, but you know you have to go meet people in your job and you have to shake hands, practice. Practice until it becomes such second nature. Think of all the things that you have, and we'll talk about this later, that would be interesting to other people you meet. Practice. Let them know how valuable these things are that could maybe benefit them. You know, sometimes a parent might be frustrated, their child's having a problem in math, I know I did, and you know, but you meet someone who's really skilled in that area who could maybe tutor them. So there's all kinds of things that we can share with other people. A lot of times we just don't think about it, and a lot of times it can actually lead to a job that you feel very successful in, that you're motivated in, and that you love doing. You know, then we have an exercise in there with pen and notebook again. Write out, okay, what thoughts take up most of your time. Have you ever done that? Just sat there and maybe wrote out what thoughts take up most of your time. It could be happy. They could be determined thoughts. They could be, I can't go anywhere in life. I'm stuck in this relationship, in this job. I don't know what else to do. And so what are the thoughts that take up most of your time? Because that's where you will continue to go. I ran into a friend the other night, and she said that she had been confessing for the last few years because she got frustrated. Oh, I can't remember this. Well, I looked at asparagus one day and I couldn't remember what the heck you called it for a while. So, I mean, but she said she realized finally that she kept saying, oh, I can't remember this, I can't remember that. And guess what? She was having a really hard time trying to remember things because she had programmed her mind to forget these things. And so she said, I have just recently learned I have to stop that. I can't be saying that anymore. And so she's claiming that she has an excellent memory. I'm doing that a lot right now myself, and going forward. So, you know, think about that. Those thoughts will program you to go a certain direction. And you have God's mind in you. You're made in His image. So, hey, you got a pretty cool mind right there. Afraid of someone maybe, or something that has caused you to, you know, you might be afraid of a spouse. You might be afraid of a teacher or the boss. And so sometimes are we thinking about it to the point that now we just feel like we're just kind of all squished down here as this little person? I remember when I was in 9th grade, I had a math teacher, algebra teacher, and he was a big guy. He was a coach, and he got by with it until he finally got fired for getting in a fight with a kid. But he would get angry at somebody. Maybe they did something that irritated him. He would pick up an eraser. He'd pick up a piece of chalk, and he would hurl it right at the person. Sometimes you'd have stuff flying right over your head. I was petrified of that guy. I didn't want to say a word, you know, because I was so scared of him. And so sometimes, you know, that puts us down to the point where we won't speak up for ourselves because we're afraid. So that's something else. Are there thoughts there instead of thoughts of, hey, I'm strong, I'm a conqueror, I can come up with resolutions? So think about that, and not be afraid of people. I've been afraid through some pretty serious abuse before, but that made me stronger in the long run. Maybe wishing for someone else's life or career, you know, and well, I can't achieve it because they have a master's degree and I didn't really take much in the way of college, or gosh, they have this beautiful car and all these fancy clothes so they can get out there and make impressions on people, and I can't. No. Really think about those thoughts. I'm confident, I'm strong, I have good manners, I can present myself well. Think of those thoughts. You know, most of my life I have gone to consignment stores, and I mean, even in Goodwill, you can get some really nice clothes that were once very expensive. I have a friend who buys all her clothes there, and she dresses very fashionably. And so even if you think, well, I don't have the money to compete, I have a friend who's buying some things from a consignment store of mostly wealthy women's clothing. She says, yeah, I got this. I paid $6 for it. I paid $8 for that. And you'd never have known it in your life because of how she shopped. And so even if you don't feel like you have good enough clothes, you can really find some awesome deals if you just look for them and not try to go to the most expensive stores. And so, you wonder how can I achieve it? What would it take? What would it take? We'll talk about that a lot. Again, write those things down in your notebook when you're sitting quietly. If the only quiet you have is maybe like, locking yourself in the bathroom at 5 in the morning, do that. But spend some time, go sit, somewhere at lunchtime maybe where you can get away. But have that time with your notebook to ask yourself these questions and start writing. You will find out so many amazing things that will start popping into your mind and go, oh, yeah, I guess that has been holding me back. Or, yes, if I continue going this direction and let go of that thing that's not helping me, that's the direction to my path. So always think about that. What do you believe will happen with clearer focus and determination? So again, well, nothing will happen, or yes, it can happen. If I change my mind, if I use my mental GPS to guide me in the right direction. So much of it is right here. So much of it, most of it is right here. And so that's what we have to take care of. Is it thoughts of defeat? Is it gaining or losing something or someone important to you? Sometimes it's like, well, we know maybe we're not being treated very well. Could be a partner, it could be a teacher, it could be a boss, it could be someone we really care about, it could be a friend. And it's like, well, I don't want to get on their bad side, so I don't want to lose this thing or this person. But you think if that's something that's negatively affecting your life, then yes, you want to lose them for sure. Because you only want people around you who are building you up. You want, hopefully bosses, we'll talk about bosses later on in this program, but you want to write your job description of who you would like to be as a boss. Would you like working for you? Would you like being your friend? And start thinking about those things. Like I shared before, there was a lady that was, she had a modeling school and I taught for her, and then we helped each other out and things, and boy, she used to rip me apart. And it really tore me down, but yet she taught me a lot. And when she called me at the labor department where I worked at the time, and she said, boy, you sound unprofessional. And at first I was like, well, same to you. And I was kind of offended. And then I thought, okay, sit down, think about it. And so I started listening to myself when I was answering the phone at the job. And it was like, oh, whoa, I do sound unprofessional. I sound like I don't care and I don't want to be bothered. And that was kind of a smack upside the head, but it was a good one, because then I realized I need to change that. And so I swallowed my pride and I started sounding professional when I was on the phone. And so sometimes, we have to do that too and go, they're right. I do need to change this. But always be careful, because you don't want to be listening to people saying, oh, you'll never amount to anything. Yes, you will. And you are. So always think about that. Taking classes, there are so many things. If you are a caregiver and you can't really get out and go to classes in the evening or something like that, nowadays there is everything online. Classes online. One of the things I think is awesome is professional organizations. After last year, everybody was going to Zoom meetings instead. And so in this case, that's very helpful, because, I've talked to people in France, England, Sweden, things like that. You can talk to people all over the world, all over the country. Part of the publishing team from New York is also in India. And so with this book, I was working with a guy from India back and forth. And so the advantage we have nowadays is that you can actually join organizations, whether they're fun ones or they're professional ones, online, on Zoom, and learn so much, build relationships that may open doors for you into the area that you really want. So think about that as well, and don't let it hold you back if you can't get out right now and do things. Get online, search for the organization, search for at least one that's fun, that's something that you like to do, a hobby, to really build you up and, kind of switch your focus every so often from the serious side. But then also get on professional organizations. not necessarily what you're doing now, although that's important, but try to start steering yourself towards organizations where you really learn and connect with people that you want to do things with. LinkedIn is another one that's very good because you can join all kinds of groups on LinkedIn. And I used to communicate with people all over the country doing that, and it was very enjoyable, and starting to get back in that again. So think about that as well on something like LinkedIn. And so think about how long have I allowed myself to feel down or defeated? Now, it was only probably about a year ago, that word allowed all of a sudden just went bam. And I thought, oh, I have actually allowed things to affect my life because I let them bring me down, let them brainwash me in some areas. And so we allow things that are said to us and done to us to affect the rest of our lives, our futures. And you don't need to do that. No, they have no right to affect you. So don't allow anything like that, anything negative to happen to you. And so I want to encourage you with that. And so on the next program, I will be continuing from there about how we speak to ourselves and go from there. So thank you for joining me today. We'll see you next time and continue on with this program about really being able to make yourself indispensable in work, in play, in relationships. God bless.